So please come on in and have a seat. If you want to join us, you're most welcome. Hi, my name is Dave Moskowitz. I'm the Gen Country Manager for New Zealand. Can everyone hear me? Sounds okay? Good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Today, I'm here to introduce you to the game of Megatrend Mashup. It's a card game, and you all have packs of cards on your tables in front of you. So let's see if I can get the thing to work. Oh, there we go. Right. So the idea behind the game is to solve the world's wicked problems together. And I'll go through how we're going to do that. So I expect that by the time we're done today, there will be no more world hunger. There will be no more climate change issues. There will be no more political instability. We will have nailed it within this room, and those solutions will flow out to the rest of the world. It's going to be amazing. So this card game was designed by the New Zealand Department of Internal Affairs and by a group within that department called the Systems Architecture Division. Now, if you know anything about government, the Systems Architecture Division are generally the sort of guys you keep in the back room, and you never bring them out and show them to anybody under any circumstances. And they live in the Department of Internal Affairs in New Zealand, which is lovingly referred to as the Department of Everything Else. And this is after the Ministry of Business, Innovation, and Employment, which is called the Ministry of Everything. The Department of Internal Affairs is called the Department of Everything Else, which is all the loose odds and ends and bits of government that nobody could figure out where to put. They go into the Department of Internal Affairs, which is also responsible for defining the overall data standards, the way government uses IT. They define all the rules of procurement and so on. And that's the Department of Internal Affairs. So I was really, really amazed to find that, this really conservative sounding division within this really monolithic department in central government in New Zealand came up with something super innovative in a card game to get people thinking more entrepreneurially. And so it was really designed to help people experience the value of emerging disruptive technologies. I'd like to point out, that the game itself is open source. It's distributed on a Creative Commons CC BY license. You can download the game from the Department of Internal Affairs website. You can organize to have them printed and couriered. These packs of cards cost $10 each, which is two and a half Bahrain dinar, right? It's really, really cheap. And you're welcome to take these and bring them back to your own country and do whatever you want with them. And in fact, if you want to take the packs of cards, you guys can fight over them at each individual table. I have one extra pack of cards here. You can take them home with you so that you can play the game with people in your own country as well. Okay, so a little word about New Zealand. It used to be when I would come to these conferences, nobody knew where New Zealand was. So I thought I would show you where New Zealand is in case you're wondering. You have a look at the globe there and you can see this little island in the middle of it. And we're surrounded by water. And Australia is kind of nearby, and Antarctica, but that's it. So it took me 31 hours to get here. And if you're wondering why it takes 31 hours to get from New Zealand to anywhere else, it's that. But the other person I'd like to point out to you is our Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, who has made the news recently. And we love her in New Zealand, and we're glad that we can share her with the rest of the world now. And that's her. So I just thought I'd throw that in. Come to New Zealand, come visit us. We're always starving for visitors. Okay, so Megatrend Mashup, how does it work? Okay, so during the next sort of hour-ish, we're going to go through facing an issue. So we're going to draw issue cards, which give us a world wicked problem to work on. We're going to gain knowledge about that together at our tables. We're going to share that knowledge, and then we're going to make a plan to solve that problem. Okay, so let's talk about how that works in more detail. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, if I can get the thing to go. there we go, is face an issue. So what I'd like you to do is unbox your cards. Take your cards out of the box and find the blue section of the cards, right? So take out the blue part of the pack, maybe mix them up a bit, and get someone to randomly draw a problem card. Okay, so I will randomly draw one myself, and mine says aging population. Okay, so I got the aging population. That's the problem your table is going to work on for the rest of the time we have here today. Okay, so everyone have a card that they've drawn? And you may or may not be happy about it, and that's okay. But just take that card and leave it at. Okay, now, the next thing you do is go to the green part of the pack, and these are the megatrends. And they have things like Internet of Things, robot driverless vehicles, and so on. I want you to mix those up and draw 6. Draw 6 of those cards. Okay, 6 random cards. Don't choose them, you have to pick random ones. Okay, and what I'd like you to do now at each of your tables is read out the 6 cards to each other. Okay? Just give yourself some time to read the cards. Yeah, question? Yeah, read both sides.
Read them loud, the 6 of them.
Or either read them aloud. Yeah, each person, you have 1 to 6. You don't have 6 people at your table. You can swap them around. Just let me know what's on them. Okay. Now that you've had a chance to read the cards, I'd like you to discuss them and ask each other questions about the information on the cards. There may be some people at your table who know more about certain of the megatrends that you've drawn, and some people that know less about them. So start thinking about the cards and how relevant they are to the problem card that you've drawn. And take about 4 minutes to do that. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to talk about the megatrends and you understand the problem, it's time to start to actually do the mashup. Okay, so, but as before you actually do the mashing up and figuring out how you're going to use some of these megatrend technologies to solve your world problem, there are some basic rules that we want you to follow. So first off is be ready to embrace the uncomfortable. Okay, there are going to be some things coming out which are going to seem odd, weird, culturally inappropriate, or maybe just strange. So I'd like you to just drop whatever sort of preconceptions you have or prejudices and just sort of leave them aside for the moment. You can always bring them back, but just leave them aside for the moment while you're going through the solution. Secondly, avoid sci-fi. Okay, if you're gonna say, well, this technology is gonna carry us forward in 300 years into the future, and we're gonna have flying spacecraft, and the aliens are gonna come and save us or whatever, right? Back away from that and try to focus on things that are actually tangible and achievable now or maybe in the next couple of years using these technologies. Use your white hat first. So try to think positively, be optimistic, be generous, and think about how we can actually work together to use these megatrend technologies to solve the problem. And finally, be respectful of each other. Make sure that all of the people at your table have an equal voice. If there's someone at your table who is a little bit quieter than the others, then try to draw out from them what they're thinking and what they might be able to contribute. Okay? Embrace the uncomfortable, avoid sci-fi, use your white hat first, be respectful, and have fun. This is a game after all, and we're supposed to be enjoying it. Okay, so now, over the next 15 minutes, take maybe 2 or 3 or possibly even 4, but take a small number of those technologies and mash them up with your problem to figure out how those technologies can solve that problem. And what I'm going to ask you to do is each one of you has a sheet on your table like this one here. Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen this, the card and the seat back in front of you? What we're going to do is imagine if we overcame the problem with the 2 or 3 megatrends that you've chosen. What would that world look like? And then fill that in the space here, right? And then we'll talk about how we get there and why would we do this later. But for now, let's just focus on the first third of that form for the next 15 minutes or so. And imagine that world where we've applied these technologies to solve that problem. So talk about that first amongst your table before you start writing anything down. Make sure you have agreement at your table. And then once you do, and I'll let you know in about 10 minutes or so that it's time to start thinking about what you want to write down. But discuss it, come to some agreement within your table, and be ready to write that down. Okay, so you've got roughly 10 minutes before I tell you you've got 5 minutes left to do your writing. Okay? Off you go. Sorry, I'm slightly. Let's see here.
So she's this paper, right? Dave?
Yeah, take that too. So you can take this back to HQ.
And I will take photo of you guys.
You know, this,
Can
this,
I order it on Amazon?
yeah,
That's great.
yeah, they're $10 each. 10 New Zealand dollars. It's like nothing.
That's good.
6 US.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to turn this into a gen activity, we could do
When
that.
I saw it, I was thinking of two friends that did it at home. Could really use this. Just looking over it. So that was more personal. But let's see. Yeah, we discussed it, how to use it and promote it mostly for our Startup Nations network. But as I look at it, it can be used in
Yeah,
any project.
yeah.
So okay, it's a good resource.
It's great to get your creative juices flowing. It's the main thing, really.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You have a nice crowd here.
Sorry?
You have a nice crowd here.
I do, yeah, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't be better. I'm so happy.
I'm happy you're happy.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is start writing down your solution and, excuse me, what it would look like. And then when you're done writing that down, we can move into the next section, which is how we get there, which is the next part of the sheet of paper in front of you. So, you know, what needs to be done in the next year, in the next 3 years, and in the next 5 years in order to bring about your solution. So when you're done writing about your description, go on to the solution, how we get there, and maybe spend, about 10 minutes doing that.
So then I think I leave you work.
Sorry?
I leave you work because it's definitely exciting and see you later. So
How are you, Sorrel?
I'm good. I'm, stepping by in sessions for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever time I have to. I have a bunch of sessions that I wrote down for myself. That I want to see that, but there's more or less sessions. So.
Yeah.
And in the break times I have meetings, so lunch meeting, dinner meeting, afternoon meetings.
It's a good problem. There's so many amazing things going on that you want to take
It's
part
good.
in.
I do feel the need more time to process, like, okay, so we done this, let's the creative flow, think about it, what else can we do about it? I don't have time to come up with software. I take notes, ideas that pop up, so my notebook is crazy, colorful, whatever. And then, as I go home, I just process them as much as I can.
I really enjoyed yesterday. Yeah. Well,
Do you like this
I was
new
facilitating.
setup? Like for channel meeting is
Huge
new.
activity is like, for me, is everything. That's how you learn. I learn nothing sitting and listening to other people. Well, not nothing.
Jonathan was pretty good. This
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
He was pretty,
Really, really inspiring.
yeah. He has the kind of showman,
Yeah.
but he had content, yeah.
I want in an organization, it's so important to bring out the natural leadership qualities in people. And when you provide, but also you really collaborate with them and really involved. So that it's not autocratic, they want people, everyone has a chance to contribute. For me, that's like my life mission. And to see it happening, it's just,
I'm happy you like it. Okay, enjoy
Actually,
Yeah,
the next 3
absolutely.
years. This is the
Yeah,
next
it's
3 years.
continuous sale.
Defining it.
First, and then second is what? Is we integrate the technologies. Second point is we integrate technologies. Okay, so test markets. They call test markets. That's a good point.
Not necessarily the same content.
Okay, collect data. Am I right?
No, yeah, I help the community.
Health and community. Because we use internet to dictate what we do. Singing amaphilisi akakhala wethu.
Roles like volunteer.
I don't know.
Might serve a purpose.
When we're using media, because of say
She just said that after me. That's exactly the same as monkey.
Yeah? Yeah.
Okay, so very fancy, Yatin. Okay, we'll give you another 3 minutes or so to finish, and then I'll give you some closing remarks and tell you how you can get the game yourself for free. Okay, so it's now 11:53. We need to have the room ready for the next people at noon. So if I can have your attention, hopefully you've had fun with this exercise. You've learned a little bit about working collaboratively on interesting problems. If you want, so you can take the deck home on the table. Okay, there's only one deck of cards on each table, but one of you can take that home with you. Okay, so please do. I don't want to see any of these packs left on the table. Okay, but if you want to get more, then if you want to get more cards, you can download them. They're free. They're available on the New Zealand Department of Internal Affairs website, and just Google Megatrend Mashup. And you'll see a link there to the New Zealand Department of Internal Affairs website. You can download them there or buy them from that website. I've left a copy of my business card on every table. So if you have any questions or need any more information, just contact me. So we have 5 minutes left. And what I'm really interested in is, who thinks they did a really good job at solving their problem? Put your hand up. All right, this team over here, I'd like you to come up and present it. Come on. Sorry? Come on up.
So, hi everyone. I think our table is a bit unique because the problem that we created, the next generation, they have to solve it. So we come up with a couple of problems. Actually, our problem is that we face natural disaster. So that was our problem. And we come up with three mega trends: AI, data and analytics, and biotech, and how these can solve these problems. So I will leave it to you to explain how this can be solved. Yeah?
Yeah, I'll do that. Hello. First, to solve natural disasters, the problems we're going to solve with it is getting safer and well-equipped cities with our AI, data analytics, biotech. They're going to help keep the cities safer, make sure they're well-equipped with our over here. What tools? With our tools. And we're going to now tell you about what we're going to do in the first year, then third, and then fifth year by steps, and how these tools will apply to our future.
Hi.
What we're going to do in the first year is that we're going to help start by developing our AI, and we're going to start training people for the skills needed in these disasters, like survival or something. And then we're going to invest into research and development. And the next 3 years, we're going to test our models and fine-tune our predictive data to make sure it's like correct and accurate. And in the next 5 years, we're going to apply our knowledge in AI to like real disasters. Like we could go to like Japan or India or something and go to the real disasters and use the AI there.
Good. Please.
Where did you get?
I finished this course. Why do we need to do it?
So why would we do this? And the value that it would add is we would be saving more people and keeping people safe by predicting future disasters through using data centers and AI to predict. Any obstacles we would face is educating the authorities into investing money into these data centers and AI platforms to better be equipped for the future.
All
right, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, okay, so just before we go, I just wanted to thank everyone in the room. You've done a really sterling job. This is, as far as I know, the first time we've run this game outside of New Zealand. So I want you to give yourselves a big round of applause for doing a great job. So I'll be wandering around over the next day or so. So if you want more information from me, you can come up and get my card now, and we can be in contact. Otherwise, I'm running another session tomorrow on accelerator programs and what entrepreneurs wished that they knew before going into an accelerator program. And it's based on some original research that I did on entrepreneurs that went through New Zealand accelerator programs. And if you're interested in coming to New Zealand to do an accelerator program in New Zealand or to visit our ecosystem, please come see me and we can talk some more. But otherwise, it's been lovely having you here, and thank you very much. It's been great. Cheers. I don't. Sorry, they're all gone now. If you didn't get one off your table, then you lose. Sorry.